Oh, the Mustang. How much you've changed over the years. Oh my God, you're back from the 1960s. Mustang. One thought comes to mind when you hear that word, American muscle. This car is by far one of the most iconic cars in the segment, and for good reason. It's got its looks, its practicality, and its speed. But more importantly, it's got its history. Let's take a history lesson and go back in time a little bit. So back in 1964, when Ford first announced their Mustang line, they had created one of the most iconic classes of cars, and that was the pony car. Now, what is a pony car? A pony car was originally defined as something that was affordable, race-inspired, and sport-styled, which the original was. That eventually changed to having something with a long front and a short rear. As time went along, manufacturers started becoming more and more modern. But in 2005, Ford said, "F it, we're gonna go back to the originals." So what they did is they took a page right from 1964 and implemented it in today's age. And this is why the Ford Mustang right now looks like the best modern classic. And there's a Corvette driving by as I say that. And I really do mean that they took a page from 1964. I mean, just look at these rear taillights. They look almost exactly like the originals, just a lot bigger. And even the front fascia has an uncanny resemblance to the look of the original Mustang. What really enchants me about this car is the way that the cabin is designed on the exterior, the way it looks. Because of this curvature, it really brings out and contrasts the sharp lines in the car throughout. But this part, it just looks like a teardrop, and I love it. Now the accent lines down the side really gives it a form of like a bodybuilder. It looks very aggressive, even the fenders up here and the full side vent right here. It makes it look so aggressive. Not to mention that racing decal, it really throws it back. Alright, so for this 5th generation Mustang, I do want to see something bad, but I can't. I can't find anything bad. When it comes down to it, looking at this from the outside, it's beautiful, it reminds you of the classics, and it's affordable. However, that's only on the outside. Let's go inside and I'll tell you about the downfalls of the Mustang. Alright, some things that I do have to point out when it comes down to driving the 2007 Mustang. It's a comfortable car, definitely, but it's not a sporty ride. It really isn't. It's one of those cars that you cruise around in. You don't look for knife fights at red lights, you really don't. But that brings a little bit of character to the vehicle. It's got the roar. It's got the feeling. But it doesn't necessarily have that excessive speed, which is good for everyday driving. You're not egged on into getting into a red light race. Another thing that I'm not so happy about with the Mustang is its transmission. It's very tame. Yes, tame. I made a horse joke. Oh. But what I mean by that is it will cruise along, but it doesn't really get excessively sporty. Like, there's no shiftable gate, there's no sport button either. So when it comes down to it, when you're driving along, you're really not doing much. You're not pushing the vehicle. And if you want to push the vehicle, you can't. You can just floor it and hope for the best, but it doesn't really give you that sense of control, that sense of I want to do something. And that's only in the 5-speed automatic. If you get the manual, yes, you have the more control. And most people probably will get the manual. But in this case, where I'm driving the automatic, it's not that rewarding. It really isn't. It is just a cruiser. The drive of the Ford Mustang base model is comfortable. And because the Ford Mustang base is more comfortable than it is sporty, you do feel like you're gliding over bumps. You don't really feel the imperfections sometimes. And that does make it feel wallowy. At the same time, what baffles my mind actually is when you're taking turns, though this feels like, it feels like a heavy vehicle, it feels like it's rolling over bumps, on tight turns, there's not a whole lot of body lean. That's pretty cool. Now earlier I was talking about the interior of this car. If only it was a little bit more modern, it would make it so much better. There's hard plastics everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Even what looks like a metal finish isn't. It's a plastic just coated in shiny silver. It really isn't a premium interior. Personally, I think they did everything on the outside to make it as good as it could be, and on the inside they're like, modify it if you like. Where the Mustang really shines is when you're driving it comfortably and you hear your engine, you hear the induction, you hear the exhaust. It makes you feel special when you're driving it. Like, you don't have to floor it to hear it. And that's where I think Mustang drivers know something that a lot of other drivers do not. You can be at low speeds and still enjoy the symphony of a car. Like, I'm going at 40 kilometers an hour, and quite literally, it feels like, or sounds like, I'm going much quicker than that. And that's great. That's what keeps people calm. The engine is a 4-liter V6 that pushes out 210 horsepower. 210 horsepower, 240 foot-pounds of torque, but a 4-liter V6 that only pushed out 210 horsepower. That shocks me. On paper, it doesn't seem like this car would be much fun because of its weight at about 3,300 pounds, or in between 3,400 pounds. But because of that torque on the low end, it really does accelerate, and it accelerates well, which confused me at first. On paper, I'm like, this is not gonna be a fun drive. But because of that low end torque, it gets it up to speed fairly quickly. And taking a left is difficult. But no, it's a fairly comfortable way. It's linear acceleration, but it has that good V6 heft. The one thing I will say when it comes down to someone who's a little shorter, looking over the hood and gauging where your wheels are and where the front of your hood is, it can be a little difficult. And this seat does not go very far up, so you have to be at least 5'5" to drive this car comfortably. One thing that I really do admire about this car is the steering. It is predictable, it is well balanced as well, and it is a hydraulic steering column. So you have your rack and pinion. It's not that electrically assisted bullshit that you see these days, where you're disconnected from the road. Here, you do feel it. Even when you're going over bumps, I did mention the suspensions are a little bit wallowy and whale-like, but the steering does a really good job of giving you feedback when you are going over those bumps. So you have a really good idea when you're driving what you're driving over. This car is only about $5,000 to $6,000. Relatively low kilometers as well. You'll be looking somewhere around 100,000 kilometers to 160,000 kilometers, and you'll get a base Mustang for about $5,000 to $6,000. And that's fantastic. I mean, it's pretty cheap to run, it's pretty cheap to own. The value is there if you're getting it older. The depreciation on this car is pretty bad when you first get it. And that's because it was a mass production car, as well as its gear was to be affordable. The Mustang is more of a cruiser than it is a bruiser. What I mean by that is you don't get this car to come to a red light and show off how fast your car can go as stock. You come to a red light, you rev your engine, you enjoy the noise, but you don't want to go anywhere. You want to just enjoy the moment. A Mustang is not meant to be bought stock and kept stock, unlike this car. A Mustang is made to be modified. You want to get involved with your Mustang. That's why it was made affordable. You want to take it apart, see what's under it. This is the car that brings you into the lifestyle of cars. That's what the Mustang is. And that's what makes the Mustang a remarkable car. If you like what I'm doing on the channel, definitely leave me a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you want to see me review anything, definitely shoot me a message either on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to my email. I'll have all the information in the description box below on how to contact me. Till the next time, take it easy, and I hope this helped you with purchasing a car.